Alright, this is going to become what I call the Fuzzle Sowbug. Fuzzling is actually a technique developed by a buddy of mine, a mate of mine in Australia, Murray Wilson. Murray's the John Barr of Australian fly tying. Very successful commercial tyer. Okay, I'm just whipping on here a little lead base, which is going to do two things: give us a bit of weight. It's also going to help shape the fly. Murray's patterns, some of his most successful patterns, have been denoted by one thing: their code of translucence. Uses lots of long fibres, pushes things down. Sorry, I'm just pushing that down. Lots of long fibres, and we just overwrap this here to give us, it's going to give us some colour in the final pattern, but it's also going to help us shape. We need to build up a little dam at the front, don't get too close to the eye, a little dam at the front to try and help that thread to hold the shape we want, hold it all together. Plus we don't want that silver look coming through. Okay, grab a piece of, that was 015 thread, 015 lead. Now we tie this in, and many people see this being tied in as backwards, but it actually helps us not allow the tubing, the stretch tubing, this is micro sized, you can use different sizes you like, allow this micro tubing not to slip off or down around the bend. Give us a little bump there. Okay, and we'll give it, while the thread's still back here, take it out of the road, just tamp down a set of pliers to get that final shape. And what you'll find happening, I'm not sure if you can quite see that, but what you'll find happening is some of that lead will now show through. Just give it the last final coat of thread. I've specifically chosen this dark grey as that is the core colour I want. Okay. Now we take our dubbing, which in this case is a mix of Dave Whitlock's SLF and some of Davey Watton's Prism Dub. You see it's got a nice bit of shine to it, and it actually looks a little more tan there than it is. It's a little, I've got tan UV Prism Dub, which gives it the little blue highlights, plus some grey. Makes a nice little blend. The difference with this fuzzling technique is you don't actually dub to the thread. Remembering this is Murray Wilson's technique, I didn't start it, but as soon as I saw it, it answered the question to me as how I was going to be able to tie a nice translucent sowbug. Sowbugs to me, while there's a lot of kind of intense solid coloured sowbugs, particularly in the river at the moment if you're up around Bull Shoals Dam, remembering I guide on the White River, so this is where most of this stuff is tied for. Okay, we just start wrapping our body forward. And if you're wondering, if you think I'm rushing this a little bit so you guys can actually get this video in time. Okay, just wrapping it forward, and notice me just tamping that dubbing back a little bit. It's a little bit thicker rope than normally you would tie for a sowbug of this size, which is a 14. I'm tying it on a wet fly hook. One more turn, and then I'm going to pull that rest of that dubbing free, over dubbed a little bit, come around, tie off my head. Okay, nice and simple. Don't pull your stretch tube too tight along the way. Oops. If you fold that over too much, get a little bump there, which I think is particularly ugly. The fish probably don't care. Might make it look like it's a little injured or something, I don't know. A little deformed, probably more accurate. Okay, simple whip finish. 90% of our fly is tied. Normally here This is when I'd add some head cement, sit this aside, go right ahead. Now, I've been interested in getting this video onto YouTube, and the time with this strip of Velcro. Now, I'm going to be a little careful around the head, not as brutal as I usually am. Just pluck out our materials. You can see I'm just striking this back. And this is the, if you like, the signature of Murray's Fuzzle patterns. Whether you dub to chenille for a bugger, dub to tubing. I'm not sure if he's tied wire, I haven't seen that much. Those patterns on him, having not been home for a few years. Right, grab our scissors, first cut, trim down the back. I'll expose some of that tubing. There's a little bit of a shell back. Alright, see what I've done there? A little bright. Just exposing that shell back. Next step, trim off the sides, creating the form of the Sowbug. It's one thing that always struck me about Sowbugs, as I said before, while some of them are very intense dark colours, very solid, a lot of them have this dark core and then a light, almost a set of wings out of it. And where the backbone and the internal organs are, it's very dark. This is kind of light. So, when you do it at this point, you'll be looking at it and going, this is way too dark. What you need to do, wet it down, and then you'll see, you'll get the true colours coming through. And my saliva isn't enough to wet through to that dark done thread. But there you have it. Very simple, very quick, nicely profiled. There's probably a few too many stray hairs. This is the Fuzzle bugger. You can see it's kind of got that halo around there. I might have to fiddle with this a little bit. Okay, if I get that light down a little bit, you'll start to see that halo effect around that Sowbug. And that's what you're looking for. That's the Fuzzle Sowbug, or the Fuzzle Sow. Cheers!